fam? Welcome to today's episode of 49 Faithfully. We're your hosts, Miriah Lee and Teran Lewis. We're finally have an episode by ourselves. I was looking at all the episodes from past, and it's like we have a guest, a guest, a guest, a guest. It's been a long time since we just had an episode by ourselves, it seems like. How
Yeah,
are you? How's everything been going since when did we do a show? Saturday?
we did a
Yeah.
show on Saturday. Yeah, so next couple of days, it's funny because we decided to do a show today, and then all of a sudden Kyle just decided to move up the camp so a week. So it worked out perfect, I guess.
Yep. I
Yeah,
noticed there's a lot of shows on today. So
yeah,
everybody has something to talk about finally.
yep,
Before we jump into 49ers news, and of course, with Deebo Samuel being a topic and being at minicamp today, I just wanted to take time to laugh at our friends over there in Seattle because their wide receiver didn't show up to minicamp. He wasn't excused. He just is holding out, it looks like. So, what are your thoughts when you heard that he didn't show up?
not surprising at all. He's always been like a little diva to me anyway. He just the way he is, but yeah, I mean, he's in the same situation as Deebo, as far as being a second round pick and all this other stuff. So I guess he can sit back and afford the fines, I guess, for now. So
Yeah, it's
yeah, I
crazy.
don't know. Yeah,
And it just seems like, he had been quieter, through this offseason than Debo had, right? And, even talking up their new quarterback and all this shit, and then he's going to hold out. Like, that's why it surprised me. But good for them. I'm so glad to see, Russell leaving, them losing their whole team, them being in the dumps. It's a
yeah.
great time to be a 49er fan.
Well, you know what's funny about that too? It's like, and I get it. Everybody has your own reasoning for not wanting to, you know, come to training camp, whatever the case may be. But if to me, if you're really a truly a team player, he should have showed up because one, you have a new quarterback. You need to get that chemistry going. It's not like Russell Wilson's lining up behind center. He's gone. So you know
Right.
what I mean. So the fact that you have Drew Lock there and you have no chemistry with him, and you still decide to sit out, that says something to me about your character and what's really important to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, we see Debo show up, and he still isn't working on his chemistry with Trey either. So, I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah,
what's really the difference? He's just there working on the side of the field.
yeah,
He didn't do any teamwork. He didn't do any individual drills. He just ran back and forth on the side of
on the
the
sidelines. Yeah,
on the sidelines holding a football.
yeah,
He wasn't even wearing the 49ers jersey. So,
yeah. Well, I guess the only thing, and you are right, he doesn't have that chemistry with Trey, but at least you can say that Trey at least has thrown him the football in live games. You know what I mean? Like he knows what to expect from Debo, but the fact that he has, like I said, you got somebody in Drew Lock who's there, and you're not practicing with him at all. It's just like, okay, well, it is what it is. So, but I'm happy. No Russell Wilson. You're arguably your best weapon on offense is holding out, so it's a good time.
yep. Um, yeah, because I mean, Seattle's like kicked our ass for so many years that I can even remember, like, and that's why I could care less about Russell. People say he acts weird or whatever the hell. Yeah, he's kind of goofy, but um, like I seriously hated the man just because he was the quarterback there and kept beating the shit out of us. Like
Hmm.
now I feel like okay, he's all right now. Like I don't have to hate him anymore because he's over
Yeah.
there. Until we have to play Denver.
That's funny you say that. So even though he's been with the Seahawks, I've always had a soft spot for Russell Wilson. I didn't like him as a quarterback. Like I hated him seeing him on the field because he had our number. But he kind of reminds me of me and my character because growing up, I've always been told like I don't know, like I grew up kind of in the hood, so like a lot of the people I grew up with, they talked hood and stuff like that, and everybody used to be like, well, Terran's a square, he talks with proper English, and this and that. Like, he's to kind of make fun of me and stuff like that because because I would speak proper and
Yeah.
be like, oh, he's a square and all this other stuff. But then when it came to throwing hands, the fools didn't want to see me. So so it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, you can think I'm a square all you want, but don't let me turn the other side and show you how I really am. So yeah, so that's
Yeah.
why. So when I hear that stuff about Russell Wilson and saying like, oh, he's got with Rihanna, I mean not Rihanna, sorry, he got with Sierra and she got with the men, that's corny and all this other stuff. I can't stand hearing that stuff because I used to get that same kind of talk about me. So
Yeah.
yeah,
um, so as we said, Debo showed up. were you surprised that he showed up, or I mean, did you think he was going to show up? Or are you surprised didn't really do anything? I mean, they asked Trey about, them getting chemistry and whatever. And of course, what's Trey going to say? He says, that he understands the circumstances, and yeah, he'd, love to be working with him, but, it is what it is. So, what are your thoughts on Deebo showing up?
Well, to answer all your questions, am I surprised that he showed up? No. Because the simple fact is, I think you and I talked about it when we were talking about Jalen Ramsey effect. He's going to show up just because I think the fine status is if you don't show up to camp.
Yeah.
But he's there, so I think he's there. Like, okay, you're not going to play with my money, so he's there. He's doing the bare minimum. So am I surprised to see he's there? No, but what I am surprised about is that he showed up even though it was moved a week earlier.
Yeah.
So it's like, if he had plans or whatever the case may be, like he's still like, nope. And to me, I mean, even though, some people can be upset or whatever, saying, oh, well, he's not participating, at least the man is showing up because even though he's not doing all the workouts, he can still talk to people. He can still coach people up. He can pull like these rookies to the side. Hey, look, man, I saw you do this on this route. You need to do X, Y, and Z. So it's him still being there, even though he's not doing anything, is still helping the team, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Trey did talk about that too, that, there's wide receivers in the room that had yet to meet Deebo, so it is good that he's there. At least he's probably, I'm sure he's in the wide receiver meetings, just because he's not taking place on stuff on the field. We saw most of the vets return today. There were two that I know of that weren't there. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo, he got his doctor's note, an excuse for showing up. And D Ford. Other than that, it looks, from my knowledge, that all the vets were there. Some completed, their one-on-one work. And that's it. Didn't, they sat during team drills. And that would be Bosa, obviously Kittle, guys like that don't really need to be
Trent
doing
Williams,
much out there. Yeah. Any surprises with any of that? I expected everybody to show up. I mean, we'd have near perfect attendance the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's funny to me because I was hearing some of the names who were there and didn't participate. So let me ask you this: maybe you have more knowledge than me or anybody in the chat. I can understand Trent Williams not participating. I can understand Kittle, Bosa. That understandable. Those are Pro Bowlers. Is Daniel Brunskill hurt?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sorry, bro. You're not on that level to just be sitting out games. You need to be out there. Tarvarius Moore, if he's still hurt, I understand. It's been a year, so maybe he's not fully back from that Achilles injury. Mike McGlinchey's probably obviously still hurt. So I get those. I kind of laughed. I kind of chuckled a bit when I heard that Daniel Brunskill was there and didn't participate. I'm like,
I think they said it was knee tendinitis or something that he has, but I don't know.
Well, if that's the case, then he's excused. But if he's healthy, I'm sorry, brother. You got to be out there taking reps too, because you're not on that level as a Pro Bowler. So,
I mean, it's kind of good though that he's not out there, because at least we're there seeing, more of the young guys, hopefully, that can take his job,
getting snaps and
get
stuff.
some work. Yeah. So we heard, the presser to. I'm just going to jump all around because that's what I do. We heard a couple of them talk about Jake Brendel and Trent Williams and Trey Lance both talked very high of him. I think Kyle too as well spoke on him. Obviously Trey Lance, he had said that he worked with, Jake all last season, obviously because Jake was the backup, and that they have a great relationship. After hearing what they had to say today about Jake, are you feeling any more confident in the center position? Because I'm feeling a little bit better, because I forgot, I wasn't really thinking. And, in my head, I'm forgetting that Jake actually was on the Dolphins prior to this. Like, I was just thinking he was a younger guy than what he was.
He's like 29.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, he has game experience, and now he does have that whole year working with Trey, so that connection there, and like Trey said, he didn't work with Alex at all. So if Alex Mack would have come back and hadn't retired, they had not even won, anything, no chemistry, except for the little that Trey got to play with him. But all, out of game stuff, he was with Brendel the whole time. So, what are your thoughts on the center situation? And now after seeing, even Kyle talk up the guy.
Yeah, I feel better, and I've actually been feeling better for the last few days because I've heard a lot of people on Space. I've been on Spaces the last few days, and everybody's bringing up that JC Treader guy and all this other stuff. But I'm just like, you know what? But then I heard from Ted that he doesn't even practice. Like he's one of those
Yep.
players that like he just sits out, and when it's time for game day, he goes out there.
Yep.
And to me, that bothers me when you have a young first year starting quarterback. You got to have that chemistry. So the fact that Trey's been taking snaps under center behind Jake Brindle since he's been drafted pretty much as a second team, that makes me feel better that now he's going into training camp preseason games with a guy he's been taking snaps from for over a year.
Yeah.
So that shows a lot. So, and yeah, so I feel a little bit better. And like you said, he's 29, and I heard the man is smart. Like he went to UCLA, and we all know that that's a school for like doctors and lawyers and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So he's no dummy. He went to UCLA. Even though he's been in the league since 2016, he's only started 3 games. But hey, that's 3 games more than Donovan West, and that's 3 games more than Jason Poe, whatever the case may be. And he has a year under his belt under the system, or actually 2 years now. He's been with us since 2020. So I feel better that he's been in our system for 2 years, even though he hasn't played live reps. I feel a little bit better. It makes me feel better than trying to bring in. I mean, unless you bring in somebody and Jesse mentioned the guy on Space, his name Matt Paradise or whatever, who's been in the league for a while, and he started 98 games and he's only 32. So if they bring somebody like that in, it make me feel more comfortable. But from the guys we have, I'm definitely more comfortable having Jake Brindle start at center than trying to bring in like a Donovan West or even a Daniel Brunskill, who I think is terrible at the center position. He needs to play either guard or tackle.
Yeah, I would prefer nothing, but I prefer he didn't play anything, but yeah.
Miriah.
I just want to say what's up to everybody that's out there. Joel, Tanya, Bryant, Collie, Lake City Fresh, Bebop, David. Appreciate you guys. About the hats, I'm not sure. Like I just had seen, Trent Williams start wearing them last year to the pressers and stuff, and found out that way through them. I ordered it on the website, and they were just a small company at the time. They're grown quite large now. I don't really know the backstory on them or anything about that. I do know that you can, they do have a website at residency.com.
Yeah, I think Tanya shared it too.
Yeah.
In the chat. Yeah, and same here. I really don't know nothing about it. I've seen the hats for over a year as well. I don't know the backstory. I don't know like how they came about or who even the guy is who designed them. I don't know. The reason why I got mine is because I was on Javier Vega's show, his podcast with him and Fern, and then I won a hat. So the hat I have, I won. So that's the only reason why I have it. But yeah, Mariah's right. The hats are on. They have a website. They range anywhere between like $40 to $60 or something like that. So yeah, and I think as you can see in the pressures all day today, I think every single player had one on, even Kyle Shanahan. So it's getting the company has gotten large. So.
Yeah, and they branched off. They're doing other cities now. Like they have Las Vegas ones, New York ones, Atlanta, I think. A couple few other cities now. They're selling hats for them as well. So it's not just a San Francisco thing.
Yeah.
And it's not just a 49ers color thing either.
Yeah.
Like they have them in all the other San Francisco teams' colors as well.
The Giants, the Warriors, stuff like that. Yeah. Dion, what's up, Dion? I see you just entered.
Hey, Dion. So yeah, a center, I feel better after listening to Trent as well speak about like him like mentoring the O-line guys, and he's here to help them. He had some great things to say about Jason Poe that, like he said he has a quick step, that he's, moves well for his size, stuff like that, stuff we already seen, but it's nice coming from an actual NFL offensive line that's probably, one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
So, for him to talk up the guy that's, that's one of my draft crutches, that was good. What else did you take from Trent's presser? I like when he's up there. He has a lot to say, but I don't know. His voice like kind of puts me to sleep a little. Like,
yeah,
not because he's boring, but like he just has like a soothing talking voice.
He kind of has like that Nick Bosa type,
yeah,
like soft spoken and kind of Trent Williams is awesome, man. I just love how he's just like hyping up his teammates. I like when that first asked about Jason Poe, he was like, "Who?" or something like that. Like he had made something funny. But yeah, I'm I'm excited to see what's going on. I'm glad that even though everybody's not participating, we have 100% people there. Watching from the sidelines and stuff like that. Like we mentioned before, Armstead and Bosa and Kittle, all of them didn't participate, but they were there on the sidelines. So I'm sure them being there is them, being the voice for the young guys and telling them what they did wrong and kind of coaching them up as well since they're not participating. So
Right.
yeah, I like it. Trent Williams, that dude is the man.
Something that I did take notes on is that Trent said, he was asked about his injury, from last season or
Oh,
whatnot. He said that, that ankle bothered him up until draft time. He said that, he probably shouldn't have played in that game, but obviously, he didn't want to let his team down. But he
sure.
said, looking back on it, he feels that there's other people that on two good knees or two good
Yeah, two good
ankles
ankles. Yeah,
would have been better than him, obviously, on one ankle. And,
yeah,
he's now wishing that that would have been the route he went. So to hear like a tough ass, probably one of the biggest O lines in the frigging game, the most athletic, actually say like you don't ever hear like an athlete actually admit that very often, like, oh, I shouldn't have played,
yeah.
like that took a toll on me and freaking hurt me for a long time.
Yeah, no, yeah, and I heard what he said about he mentioned Colton McKivitz. He goes, Colton McKivitz probably would have did better than me
Yeah.
on two good ankles than me on one. So, yeah, it's kind of hard, but I mean that's good. That shows he's humble. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I went out there to do what's best for my team, even though I was hurt. But at the end of the day, it probably wasn't the best for my career. You know what I mean? I wish I wouldn't have done that. So, yeah, but kudos to him for even going out there and playing like that. Because I mean, I think his mentality was like, "Look, I'm one game away from going to a Super Bowl. There's no way I can sit this game out."
Yeah. Um, he did talk about, Trey, of course, which I mean, we can take it for what it is. Obviously, nobody's going to get up there and talk bad about Trey. The ones that are genuine, you can kind of tell. So, he had touched on, they had asked him if they had, seen a growth from Trey or whatever, like in the one day that Trent's got to see the kid, right? But he spoke on something that Trey had spoke on earlier, so we'll kind of touch on both. I think Trey had talked about that the new quarterback coach helped him, in other things off the field, even with his pressers and whatnot. And somebody had asked him, "Oh, is that why you're more open with us than you were last year?" And Trey said, and we've heard Jimmy get all this praise for how he handled this tough situation, but we really haven't got to hear Trey speak about it too often. But Trey had mentioned, that it was really weird for him last year, and that then the media is wanting to ask him questions and he has nothing to answer, nothing to talk about because he's not the one playing. So he kind of talked about, and like the vibe, how the whole vibe was weird. So it's kind of hard for the kid to be himself and be a leader, like we talked about, when there's a leader in the way.
Yeah,
um and then Trent had touched on that and said that he couldn't even tell that Trey like felt weird or whatever he said because he handled it so well. And that like that's one of the best qualities about Trey is like how he handles stuff. What else did he say? I don't want to miss anything. He had talked him up though. He carries himself well, his mental. He said nothing ever rattles him, like, and that's his key features. So we see Trey the athlete, right? The
yeah,
the guy that can throw this, deep ass ball and run and do all this shit on the field. And we talk about his mental and how he's so smart and everything, but to hear somebody that's been in the game for so long talk Trey up in that regard, like I love that, we heard that today.
yeah, yeah,
Um And then we also heard that, everybody had glowing things to say about Juwan Jennings. We heard Kyle, say crazy good things about him. Like we knew that Juwan's his dog, and he just needs to get his opportunity. And we
yeah,
saw that towards the end of last season. After hearing, how everybody ranted and raved about him today, I'm expecting him to, hold that wide receiver 3 spot in a tight grasp.
I totally agree. And the thing about Juwan Jennings too, they said like this, he came into camp like in better shape than he was last year. Like he's kind of slimmed down a little bit. He's still physical. He's gotten a little bit faster, and I felt like they said like too, he's like became a better route runner. Like he's out
Yep.
there doing his thing. So I think out of the 4 touchdowns that Trey threw, he caught 3 of them inside the red
Yeah.
zone. So he's dominating. It's funny because we've been looking for that red zone threat for a long time, and I'm glad that Juwan Jennings is finally becoming to his own. And I told people too, um, last year before the season started, I go, I don't know how fast he's going to get to this, but I feel like Juwan Jennings is going to be another Marcus Colston. They used to play for the Saints. They
Yeah.
remind me so much of each other. Late round guys, big, physical, not the fastest guys, but just know how to get open, stuff like that. Know how to say the soft coverage and stuff like that. So I think Juwan Jennings is going to have that third wide receiver spot taken, especially because Danny Gray is hurt now. He tweaked his
Yeah.
hamstring. And then Ray McLeod is going to be more of like our little deep threat type person, like our gadget guy is going to be taking snaps behind the backfield, our punt, kickoff returner, stuff like that. Like he'll come down probably mainly like on third downs and stuff like that. When it was like third and long and stuff like that. But yeah, I think the third wide receiver, I think 1, 2, and 3 are on lock. So I think Ray McLeod and Danny Gray are going to be battling for that fourth receiver spot for sure.
Yeah. You talked about Danny Gray being hurt, and I think today is really the first that we heard that he had tweaked his hammy in last week's practice or something. So that's why he wasn't practicing last week. And then I also heard that TDP hasn't been on the field because he's hurt with an undisclosed injury.
Yeah.
So 2 of our draft picks this year, high draft picks,
Yeah.
are already hurt. And we haven't even made it through minicamp yet.
I know. Same round too. They both were drafted third round.
That's supposed to be big pieces of the offense, and I don't know, like with Danny Gray, especially being hurt, there's other wide receivers there that Trey's getting work with
Yeah.
and, building that chemistry with that could potentially, push him down the roster there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's early. I know it's only like mini camp, and you know what, Kelly, that's a pretty good comp too. Yeah, that's a good one. I just see like Brandon Marshall was more of like a deep threat though. Like he can catch like 40, 50-yard bombs. I don't see Juwan Jennings really doing that. So that's why I came up with the Marcus Colston type comp. I see them very similar. But yeah, but I mean it's still early. It's still, first week of June. We still have another mini camp coming. Then we have training camp, stuff like that. I know they said they're gonna hold out Danny Gray like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But the thing with TDP, like, if he's hurt and hasn't been playing and stuff, I hope that Trey Sermon is getting his reps in and he's taking it serious. Like Trey Sermon's out there like, look, here's my time to shine. And I know other players don't sit back and they wish like, oh, I hope this person gets hurt, that person gets hurt, stuff like that. I understand that. I just think it's more of like, okay, I have the opportunity to show what I can do. I was a third round pick as well just a year ago. So I want to go out there and take these snaps and show them that I'm here to play as well. So.
Yeah. Especially because what's his face isn't practicing right now either.
Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah. Because he had that off-season surgery, so he's still rehabbing, so he's not out there on the field either. So now's his perfect time to move on in there. However, I did hear that the undrafted rookie running back that we have on the team, Jordan Mason, that he looks great out there. That he's super fast. Yeah. He's catching everything thrown his way. So I don't know, that running back room.
Yeah, I'll say this. Kyle's always going to go with he's going with the guys he trusts, obviously, but he likes to, if he's going to see a younger, cheaper option, Jeff Wilson and Jermichael Hasty, they might be in trouble.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been talking about, which out of the two, are going to be the odd man out, and it might just be both of them are the odd man out.
Yeah, it might be both of them. I mean, we might go into the season with Mitchell, TDP, Sermon, and Mason. That could be our 4 running backs.
Yeah.
So.
We heard Trent, he was asked something about Jimmy, about, those pictures that Rita draws, whatever, every day.
Yeah.
Well, they had asked him, if he's seen those. Why they chose to ask him out of everybody, I don't know. But and he said no, and that, and then he said, Jimmy's always going to be his brother, always going to be his boy, and then he's like, I miss him, like, so sentimental. Like, you had to throw that in there, like, no, nobody asked for that. He also had, good things to say about Banks as well, and that's who he specifically said that he's there to help. So I'm excited to see, like, I heard people are like down on Banks because of his presser, and obviously because we didn't see him very much last season. But like, I see nothing wrong with his presser. Like, they do ask some stupid ass questions, so
Yeah.
I feel exactly how the players feel when they get annoyed, with these freaking questions.
Yeah.
Ward kind of seemed, like he was kind of, gave him, I don't know, not an attitude, but, like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, like when he
Yeah.
would respond to their questions. So, I mean, it is what it is. Not everybody needs to get up there and be kissing the freaking media's ass, so.
Exactly. Well, here's
Um,
the thing with Trent Williams too. Of course, you said that he's there to look over Banks and stuff like that. Well, yeah, he's going to be the man playing right next to him. So I'm
yeah,
sure Trent's like, look, man, this is how I operate. I know that you're going into your first year as a starter, and I'm sure I'm sure he's gonna mentor him at the same time. Like, Trent doesn't want to be trying to take care of his man and then trying to take care of Aaron Banks's man at the same time. But I don't know
yeah,
why so many people are down on Banks, because I saw some photos of him. He looks good. He looks like he has a lot less fat on his body. Like, he's turned a lot of it into muscle. He's lost some weight. He's already physical. So I
yeah,
just I don't I mean, of course you worry about somebody starting their first year. However, he's going into his natural position, and he's going to be next. He's going to be next to the best left tackle in football. So that's going to be very helpful.
yep. Yeah, I mean, Trent said that he, pretty much transformed himself in 3 months since, the season ended, that Banks transformed his body, and,
Yeah.
that he's super athletic, and that's obviously why the team has him, because that's, the type of O-lines that people that we need, so, I
Yeah.
mean, I think he'll do fine there.
I think so. Yeah.
A couple other people, that I heard great things about from today. And again, today's practice was only a little bit over an hour. So, I
Yeah.
mean, how much things can possibly be seen in, that short of time. But obviously, Trey, I heard he only had, like, one bad throw that was to Ray Ray. I heard that he's throwing with more touch. Um, and from all accounts, he's looks like he improved from the last time we've seen him, and really that's all we can
Exactly.
ask for, right?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he went 14 of 18 with 4 touchdown passes, and his only interception was a ball that bounced off of Ayuk's chest.
Yep.
Like, come on, man. Like, he's not throwing an interception or nothing like that. Like, he's looking good. I'm proud of that kid, man. He's taken so many strides, and all the offseason work he's been doing, setting up these little, passing camps with Ayuk and all the receivers and stuff like that. Like, he's showing a lot of leadership for a kid that just turned 22 a little less than a month ago.
Yeah. And they asked him about, his off-season work, and it's funny too because he called out Grant for his
Oh
his
yeah, I
his
saw
slow
that.
motion video,
Yeah.
and so they asked him about who he's working with, and he named 5 different quarterback guys that he worked with this off season, and um he said that it's more of everybody out there worrying about his throwing motion, and whether or not the ball spiral or not, so I love the way he's being with the media this year.
Yeah.
Like, he's really came in and like taken charge of that position, and that's what you love to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think
um
do you think the 49ers excusing Jimmy from camp gave Trey that much more confidence? Or do
I
you think
think
he already had it? Do
I
you
think
think
he
he already
already
knew?
had it. I
Mm,
mean, I'm can't imagine that they're thinking Jimmy's gonna come when he's not healthy, when like, he can't do
yeah.
nothing there, there's no point for him to be there.
Yeah.
um I don't think that they found that as a surprise. I'm sure Trey already knew Jimmy wasn't coming, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Trey, since, we've seen him talk 2 weeks ago, I think, he already seems like, he's confident in that position already.
Got you. Okay.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Obviously, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, and we saw a lot of times where Trey and Kyle were out hanging out in town and stuff like that. Like, so I'm sure there was some conversations that's like, look, man, you have nothing to worry about. The job is yours. But at the same time, it's like, at the same time too, it's like even though somebody is telling you stuff like that, it's kind of hard to really accept that when he's still on the roster.
Yeah.
Like if he was gone, I don't think there would be any issue. But the fact that he's still there lingering, it still could be, because he's so young, it could be one of those things where he's like okay, Trey, I know you said you're gonna be the starter, but we can't trade Jimmy. We don't want to release him, so it's gonna be competition. Like the fact that they told Jimmy he's excused and stuff like that, I feel like it did help his confidence even that much further.
Yeah, I love that they used that wording too. That was great.
Excused.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we heard also today that D Ford, he was brought up, and him that he was as well. He was excused as well, but that didn't make no national media that D Ford was excused from minicamp. Like it
Yeah.
did for Jimmy. But just to touch on D Ford a little bit, they said Kyle, that he's going to be coming like this week or sometime soon to do a physical, and then so obviously that most likely will mean he either gets released and goes to another team or he's retires, whichever the two.
Yeah.
Kyle did mention that their camp is claiming that D Ford feels great, it is wants to play.
Hmm.
Obviously that's not going to be with us. Kyle seemed to make that clear in his presser today. So, I'm kind of glad. Like, I hate to see the guy have to go through, whatever he's going through. Obviously, somebody with back problems, like, it's the worst and you hate to see it. But
Yeah.
I like, this is a move that should have came years ago already.
Last year. Yeah.
Like, this is like, I'm glad that it's finally happening.
I'm gonna be honest though. I'm gonna be a bit salty if he comes in, passes a physical, we release him, gets into somebody's training camp and plays the season. Like I don't know. That right there would be disgusting to me. Like oh my god. Like I don't know. It would just
I
be
don't care.
shameful. Yeah, but you're right though. It's like I don't wish any ill will on the guy. Like I'm sure his back it does hurt and stuff like that. But I think he's getting up there too. He's on the wrong side of 30. I think. So it's like, start giving these guys like the Drake Jacksons and the Tourés and stuff like their shine if they're gonna step up. So
Um, Kyle was asked about Deebo as well, if they've been in contract talks with Deebo or anything. And Kyle, had said that both the 49ers and Deebo's side are, they're not in contract talks and they're both planning to wait. Like that's the plan from both sides, which I figured. I think it would be ridiculous to sign him to a contract this year. Obviously it would be cheaper, but like come on, like they have 5 years on a contract, and like we're trying to pay him after 3. Like so ridiculous.
yeah.
And Bosa's brother as well, he didn't get paid till the 4th year, as so that's what his brother did and got paid the bank. So I'm sure he's just going to follow right in those footsteps. We'll pay
Well,
him after
yeah.
next year, and he'll get the
And the
bag.
thing about Bosa was good about Bosa is even his 5th year option is $20 million because
Yeah.
he's made 2 Pro Bowls during his rookie contract.
Yeah.
So his 5th year contract, his 5th year option there's nothing to sneeze at. He's been making some good money. So I wouldn't be surprised if he plays out the full thing and then he goes, okay, now let me get my money because how much money is going to be, who knows? But yeah, Deebo, I think something gets done probably in July. I give it about a month. I think something like right around training camp or so, like right before we get into training camp. I think a deal will get done with Deebo.
Um, they did ask, if Deebo being there or whatever meant that took like that he took his trade request back, or whatever, rescinded his trade request, and
Hmm.
Kyle said you'll have to talk to Deebo about that.
Yeah,
So I'm guessing that means he hasn't, but
yeah, he has. Well, he kind of made another remark, and he was just like, well, you know, um, you got to think about it as a business side of things and stuff like that. So I don't think he has. I think
yeah.
it's still sitting there like it's lingering, but he just doesn't want to. Nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room. Basically, I think Debo's more of like, okay, if I get a contract, great. If I don't, if I get traded, great, because I'm gonna get paid either way. And Kyle and them were just like, man, like I hate that he asked for a trade, but I understand at the same time it is a business. But we're gonna pay him when we feel suit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like whenever we feel it's appropriate to pay him is when we're gonna pay him. So
And I've like obviously I'm happy if Deebo's on the team. I just don't feel that he wants to be there. So, to me, why are we keeping somebody on the team that doesn't want to be there is my feeling. And that's not just Deebo. Like, that's anybody. I don't care if it's Ayuk, the player that I love. I don't care if it's Trey Lance. If they don't want to be there, don't make them be there. Like, why are you forcing somebody to be on the team that doesn't want to be there? Like, it just reminds me of a relationship. Like, you're forcing somebody to be with you when they tell you every day they don't love you.
Exactly. I totally agree.
It's crazy, so that's my whole thing. Like, if he still has the trade request there, and then they asked Trent if he had talked to him or whatever, and Trent said he did, and also spoke that, he's taking it by the horns now and showing that, pretty much like he's mature, because he showed up to mini camp and didn't hold out. So, like, maybe he just don't want another team to think he's being immature and going to hold out and all this shit, So, I mean, he has to do, at the end of the day, what's best for Deebo. And what's best for Deebo is that he showed up to minicamp.
Yeah.
That, I don't think that's a sign that he's staying with the 49ers. Sorry.
So deep down in your heart, you really think he doesn't want to be there?
I think so. Like, you can go through all this contract negotiations and all that shit, but for you to put out a request, a trade request, I want to be traded, that's two different things.
And then your brother's saying that, like, oh, he's not going to play for the Niners regardless and all this stuff. So let me ask you this, though. If you're in a relationship, let's just say you're in a relationship, even if your significant other is telling you every day they don't love you, even if you thought there was a chance to repair the relationship, would you still stick around?
Well, obviously, I'm going to try for a little bit, right? And if I don't see that it's getting anywhere and that person's still saying they don't love me every day, then get the fuck out.
Yeah.
I'll find somebody that's values me more. Like,
that's true. Yeah. And I don't know if I said this on your show or not, or maybe I said it on Spaces, but my dad told me a long time ago, don't ever keep somebody that doesn't want to be kept.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you don't want to be here, then you're gone, So I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about the whole Deebo situation. And two, I don't blame him for not doing, any drills and teamwork. And obviously because, we don't want to risk his injury, whether he's with us or not.
Pull a hamstring or something crazy. Yeah.
Other people I heard did well. Mosley, that he's given up 0 plays. I heard that Juice obviously looked great. Who else? Womack. I heard that
Womack, yep.
He looks like the best nickel on the team, so that's great to hear because we obviously need somebody to slide into that spot.
Yeah. I heard Kamoko Turway was looking good too.
Yeah.
I heard he was like the best edge rusher out there today.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, great problems to have. That's all I'm going to say.
D-line's going to be something
Samuel
else.
Womack out there looking good. And I heard reports that, even though sometimes he gets beat, it's not by much. Like, he's there on the play. I guess it's kind of like the Ambry Thomas situation last year when he was right there, but he didn't turn his head around quick enough or something like that. Like, those things can be fixed easily,
Yep.
But, and then, I'm worried. It sucks to say because I thought he had some promise last year, but it looks like Deommodore Lenoir, it's like he's hurting a little bit. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen with him.
That's what I heard as well.
But let me ask anybody in the chat. Like, I've never played any kind of DB or nothing like that, so I don't know. I was always a fullback or a linebacker. With Deommodore Lenoir being 5'10", 200 pounds, and he's pretty physical. Does anybody in the chat thinks that maybe he needs to be moved to compete like a free safety and be like the backup to Jimmy Ward? Because I've always heard from people that it's easier transition to go from corner to safety than safety to corner. You know what I mean? Because when you're a safety, you're pretty much like, you're covering over the top. You're looking for people to get beat deep, and maybe like he just doesn't have it in him in the NFL, even though he looked good in Oregon. NFL to be that because he has the size, even though he's only 5'10", he's 200 pounds.
Right.
Like I think he's bigger than Jimmy Ward. And so, like, I don't know. Like, I wonder if like it's something where just like, man, he's just not it at corner. Because I heard even in OTAs he was struggling.
Yeah.
Like OTAs he struggled first. I know it's only the first day of mini camp, but he still struggled a lot. Like, he's been getting beat, and they said he's looking like one of the worst corners on the team right now.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm
he
wondering,
struggled all
yeah.
last season,
And he struggled
so
last season, yeah. So I'm like, I wonder if it's one of those things where maybe he can just like say, you know what, we'll try you at free safety because that's an easier transition than going from safety to corner. So I don't know. I feel sorry for the guy, but at the same time, he do his best for the team. I thought when he played those 2 games against the Lions and the Eagles, he showed a bit of promise. Like he was at a
yeah,
position a couple times, but I thought he did okay. But I don't know.
yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
We don't know, it could be a confidence thing. It could be maybe Kyle lost confidence in him. Who
true.
knows what's going on,
And we know how Kyle, you know how Kyle has no patience.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh, if you rub him the wrong way, you might be done for a couple weeks until you prove it again. So yeah,
Um with so Ward, C Ward, they said that he looked great and that they're not going to risk any injury with him, so they shut him down. So in place of him, Ambry's playing, and I heard that Ambry's looking great,
yep.
still. And I heard that last week, I heard that the week before,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm hearing that again coming out of there today. So although Diamador's struggling, at
Yeah,
least one of them,
Ambry, yeah,
Ambry's, doing well. So
yeah, the higher draft
we're
picks
gonna
doing
have
better.
we're gonna have quite the competition there too at cornerback.
Yeah, I don't know
Uh,
about you, but this is the first time in a long time that I actually feel good about corner.
yeah,
I've been like for the past few years, I've always went in there like, man, with so many question marks, even with Verrett because his health.
mm,
I never doubted his play, but it was more of like, man, if he gets hurt. Now I don't have that worries as much. I'm hearing so much good things. Like Emmanuel Mosley's like the unsung hero in that secondary. Like he
yeah,
never gets talked about, although he's so underrated. So with him, Ambry Thomas, Samuel Womack looking pretty good. You got Charvarius Ward, a healthy Verrett possibly. So now like I'm literally going into the season now with some confidence at corner.
yeah. Both things that I was worried. Well, and the O line,
Yeah.
cornerback, safety, and O line were like the major three concerns. And
Hmm.
safety, I'm feeling better about. Cornerback, I'm feeling better about. And O line, it's
Kind
getting
of
a
hit.
little better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, did you hear the last day of OTAs that Spencer Burford was manhandling Eric Armstead?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm about to
and I
show you
didn't
that
hear that.
article. What you call it? Swan Song showed me something about that. That like, yeah, that they were playing. That I think that Spencer Burford was going up against Eric Armstead, and Eric Armstead was kind of struggling with them. But Spencer Burford to me looks like a poor man's Trent Williams to me. Like
Yeah,
he's physical, and he has that mean streak, that nastiness to him. And Eric Armstead's never really been like physical. He's been kind of finesse.
yeah,
He's not really like that dominant. He's not like a Kinlaw where he's just nasty inside. He's more like a pass rusher. He uses his hands with technique and stuff. So yeah, if I find it, I'll show it to you, or I'll ask Swank Song to send it to you. But yeah, I was just like, wow, like that's good to hear. So that right there made me feel better. Like, oh, okay, if he's handling his own against somebody who's been in the league for 6-7 years, and he's handling his own with Armstead, who's you can argue probably a top 10 to 15 D tackle in football. So I don't know. So I'm feeling
yeah,
a little bit better about the offensive line.
yeah. It's getting there. It's getting
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It's not 100%, but it's getting better every week. I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, the people I heard that weren't doing so great. Drake Jackson, I heard that he wasn't looking so well, that he lost pretty much every rep that he had, and it was
yeah.
against Joe
Some no
Schmo.
name, huh? Yeah,
Yeah.
some no name. I'm like, who? Yeah,
Schluter or something.
slam slam
Schluter.
shooter, slam
Yeah, I
shooter.
don't know.
Yeah, I'm like,
Something
I don't
like
even know
that.
this dude. Yeah,
Yeah. That's somebody that probably won't make the team. And,
yeah,
yeah, then Diamador. I heard Ayuk's had a ton of drops. Um,
yeah.
I don't know what that's from. Obviously him and Trey have been working together a lot, so you would
I
think
can
he would
almost
be able to
guarantee
haul in those passes, but
I can guarantee they're probably concentration drops. Like he's probably like looking upfield before he's securing the ball because I don't. He has no issues with his hands. He catches the ball nicely. It could be like another Jamar Chase type situation
yeah.
where he's just dropping balls in camp and stuff like that. And so I don't have any really no worries about that. But that's
And
crazy to me.
yeah, and Shanahan talked great about him. So from being in the doghouse or whatever last season to Shanahan ranting and raving about how him and Juwan are coming in leading and both, look great. And, so for him to be dropping passes,
Yeah,
but maybe, it could, obviously it's coming from the media, that says he's dropping passes. So it's being done when the media is there,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe it's
And you
with
know
all
what's
the
funny
eyes
too?
on him from the media,
That's
who
true.
knows what's the deal, but
Yeah, you know what too? I will say because I mean, and you're a huge Ayuk fan, so you see the way he catches the ball in games. He doesn't let the ball get into his chest. He catches with his hands, and every drop I heard him have was because it hit his chest. So to me, that means like it's probably a concentration drop where like the ball's coming in and he's turning his head before he's securing the pass and it's hitting him in his chest. That's what I think because he doesn't catch the he doesn't he's not a chest catcher in games.
yeah.
So yeah.
I just noticed that we don't have this thing on. Let me see.
Oh,
Speaking of Ayuk, that's because when we have a guest on the show, like it will block out their face, so I have to take it
yeah.
off. Who else? Who else?
TDP with the injury.
Yeah, and that's a
Man,
shame because we haven't heard anything about that, so that's kind of weird. Like I have
yeah.
not heard one thing, and
Yeah.
they like for Kyle not to mention it, like he mentioned Gray, so
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about the whole situation, I don't know if you've caught it too, but I feel like from OTAs and minicamp, the two players talked about the worst have been Diomeder Lenore and TDP.
yeah,
Like those are the two I really haven't heard anybody really say like, oh man, they look good out there, or whatever. Everybody's been kind of saying that they've been struggling a bit. So I mean, it must be true because you got numerous people kind of saying the same thing, just in a different way, So, um, yeah. And then after me and Steph Sanchez gave props to Denard, I heard he struggled today.
yeah, I heard that as well. Well, I mean, but they can't all have a good day every
A
day, right?
perfect day,
So,
exactly. Yeah, I can't have a perfect day every day. So
um, I
just
think
wait.
that's
Oh,
all we really had. Yeah,
yeah, kind of a day one camp, day one of camp. Yeah,
yeah, and it was a short practice.
like an
Only
hour
a
or
little
something.
over an
Yeah,
hour. That's yeah. I know Kyle. Obviously we had injuries come out of there last season, and we don't want to have no bad injuries
yeah,
this year. And there's already been some around the league, which
yeah.
sucks. You hate to see it.
And maybe because it was the first day as well. I know. Shout out to CJ Beathard. I don't know what happened to him, but I heard he got carted off the field in a no contact injury.
Yeah,
So
I
those are
heard. I
those are
saw
never
today that
good.
it ended up not being something too serious.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah,
Okay, yeah. People already have. So I think Kyle too was the first day. He only had an hour, and he knew that there was going to be a lot of media coverage because it's the first day of camp. So I felt like the media coverage was longer than the camp itself.
yeah.
Yeah. So
That is true because
yeah.
that's all you can find on YouTube right now is 49ers content
Yep.
for an
Seriously.
hour long practice.
Yep.
Everybody enter their numbers. We'll do a giveaway before we get out of here. But yeah, we'll see what else this week brings.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we see some of these other players that didn't have a good day today step up and have a better week.
Yeah. So what is it? They're having it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then when do they come back after that? So I know they
Um,
moved it up. It was supposed to be the 13th or the 15th or something like that, and then we started it this week instead. So
yeah.
what's up, Joey? Enter your numbers, people, for a giveaway. We got 2 people so far.
I think, yeah, I don't know when the other dates are.
I
They had
think
them
it's I
written here.
think it's one
So that they
more.
do.
Yeah, I think it's one. I think in June they do 2 mini camps. Then they take a break. Then they all return in July for training camp.
This had said June 14th through the 16th.
Yeah,
That's what I had written down here. So that's if they keep that date. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I think that's what was supposed to be until they moved it up, right?
No,
So no.
no,
Oh,
it
they
was supposed to be. Well, was it? What is the date? Yeah, I guess so.
yeah, because it's the 7th today, and I think I heard everybody on Twitter saying like Kyle and them moved mini camp up a week. So
I don't know. I had
hey,
the 6th till 9th already written down. So
hey Dion, I see you chose number 41. You're gonna have to choose a different number because somebody else already picked it.
yeah, Tia has 41 already. Hey, Joey.
We appreciate you guys staying on the entirety of the show to listen to us. We truly appreciate that.
Yep, yep. So once Dion enters his new number, then we'll go.
Okay.
Let me get the thing ready.
Yeah, I think Two players. All right, Dion. Thank you, sir. I think the two players, and it's funny too because you and I always talk about use check being utilized more as a receiver, and all I hear is him catching the short pass and beating everybody deep and taking it to the house on a long touchdown. So
Yeah,
I really hope he's used more as an offensive weapon. I really hope this offensive line can get it together and we stay healthy. And I wouldn't even I wouldn't I don't know as an offensive line you got to get into a rhythm, but I mean even if you have to do some kind of like take somebody out for a couple plays to give them a breather and bring them back in or whatever the case may be, like a rotation like you do on the D line. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like if you do something like that, but I know it's harder for the offensive line because of the continuity that they have to have. But I mean, if we can get it together and we have a good to great, it don't have to be a top 10. Just be like a middle of the pack offensive line. Be like number 15, 16 offensive line with all these new guys coming in. And because I would love to see George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk use more on offense. Because the more weapons we have for Trey, the better, and the harder it's going to be to cover everybody.
I
Because if
agree.
you have Ayuk, Deebo, and Jennings out, in the slot, then you got Kittle lined up for a pass, and Kyle Juszczyk. Those are five legit receiving threats you have to cover, and that's tough. And if you want to do a four receiver set, you got like Ray or Danny Gray out there, so it's going to be even harder. So, yeah, I just hope the offensive line is good where Kittle doesn't have to be a sixth offensive lineman.
Yep, I agree. Because
Yeah,
that's, like he gets punished, from the voting for all this, awards and all this other shit. His numbers, his career, like he gets punished for that for being a good blocker.
he
I feel
does.
like it sucks.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it sucks too because you look at his numbers. He still has close to 1,000 yards, even though he's used primarily as a blocker because he's so good with the yak. Like he catches the ball and he can take it to the house easy because he's so good after the catch. So
Yep,
if he had his opportunities, kind of like a Travis Kelsey or Mark Andrews or Waller, I wouldn't be surprised if he has 12, 1,300 yards a season.
yep. Yeah, Joey, this is exactly what I said earlier. That
Yeah,
now, after listening to Trent Williams praise it up, it's making me feel a little bit
yeah,
better.
yeah.
Let me do this, pick a number. And as I do this, also, I want to let you guys know on here, and then we'll go to Twitter with it if we don't have enough people from here. But I wanted to give you guys the first opportunity since you're here. We're going to be doing a fantasy league, probably a 10 team. Um, it'll be a $20 buy-in. Winner at the end gets the whole pot. And then we're also going to do some prize giveaways throughout. So every couple weeks, we'll give a prize giveaway to somebody that either won that week or is in the lead, or we'll figure it out. So if you're interested, you guys can DM me on Twitter. Let me know. I'll hold you guys a spot. We're also going to give away one spot to someone that watches as well.
Yeah, and before you go, Murray, I want to bring up the 49er game against the Raiders. I know there's a lot of people been talking about coming to the game or not coming to the game because of the price of tickets and stuff like that. I've been looking, and I know it's been like 21. It's like it was a number 21 was a number. I know there's been like a, a bunch of things going on
15.
where 15. Oh, I saw Dion's number. So I think for nosebleeds, it's $600 for the Raiders tickets, 49er Raiders game, and that's pretty ridiculous. So what I did was I rented out a brewery here in Vegas that holds up to 50 people. It'd be $40 a head. We have it rented from noon till 5 o'clock. The game starts at 1 o'clock. So you get to be there an hour before the game, and then the game probably ends around 4. And then we're gonna try to do like a raffle after the game because we hold it till 5. It's $40 a person. There's two screen TVs in there, and it's appetizers. So people who are coming to Vegas, I wanted to go to that Raiders game. Yes. So Dion, if you wanted to come with the wife or whatever the case by yourself, we got this bar and grill that we rented out. It's only $40 a head, and we rented it for 5 hours for us 49er faithful to come and watch the game together, meet and greet type thing. And then, like I said, it's appetizers during the duration of the game, appetizers and drinks as far as like soda and water. If you want any beer, you got to pay for it, but it's only $40 a head, and that's another option for people who want to come to Vegas and hang out and do a meet and greet and watch the game together. So if you're interested, go ahead and DM me on my Twitter. Everybody on here pretty much knows who it is. Knows my name on Twitter, TL49er Magic. So yeah, if you want to get with me, go ahead and get with me so I can put you on the guest list.
Yeah, and I spoke with my wife today and talked about doing giveaways throughout that event as well. So we'll take care of that.
Okay.
And then let me
Perfect.
go ahead and pick Joel's card here because he had 16.
Joe Montana.
Let's see here what we can get for our brother in Guam. Joel's lucky. He wins a lot of shit.
I know. On other shows,
Trey
it's
Lance
on that.
behind the numbers.
Nice. It's
I'm
like
gonna
a gold
figure out
card,
this.
huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's nice, yeah.
It's hard to hold shit in front of that camera, I swear.
Joe, man, I don't know what you've been doing, bro, but you got the best luck ever.
I know. You need to give me some like bingo numbers or lottery numbers or
Yeah.
come to Vegas and gamble.
NFL spreads. And
yeah, something.
get on the blackjack table with us, man, because I don't know what you're doing, brother, but you every time, and it's funny too, you went on everybody's show, it seems like.
Good. Give us black or red or, something. Can go make some money. Congrats, Joel. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of you guys that continue to support us. But yeah, I think that's all we have.
Yeah, that was a good show. I appreciate everybody.
Yeah, but if you guys, DM him about coming to the 49er Raider party, DM me about getting on the 49 Faithfully fantasy team, and we'll get that started as well. And I'll collect the money from everybody once the team fills, so you don't have to worry about paying it now. And, we'll wait till we give out the free spot as well before I collect money too.
Perfect. Sounds good.
All
right,
right,
everybody. You guys enjoy your evening.
Enjoy your week. We'll be back sometime next week. We have a busy week, both of us, so I think that's all the shows for this week. But we'll see you guys next week sometime. Everybody stay safe out there.